Today, I will have a short overview about what risk management is on our side in Hungary. So, like this? Okay, thank you. So, first, let's have a look why risk management is so important that we have to have a session on it separately. So, you see two pictures. This is our reality as customs officers. We are faced with a huge volume of international trade, both inside in the form of containers and bulk load, and both in postal consignments. As mentioned yesterday, we in Europe have powers to control the postal consignments, the e-commerce packages as well. And believe me, we have millions of them. So our challenge is to find the needle in the haystack. But how do we do that? So, you know that the traditional control methods customs can use, like documentary control or X ray scanning, are not really functioning well when we want to detect IPR infringing goods. So, we also have the sniffer dogs, which we really like, but unfortunately, they are not yet able to detect counterfeit products. The only means we have to use to be able to have the suspicion and start the procedure against infringing goods is to have the physical control of the goods. So we have to take the goods in our hands. But yeah, that's difficult because my slide is not working. So anyway, I continue with the slide. So the physical control. Okay. Anyway, I fill the gap. So physical control. So the important fact is that the customs officer has to take the goods into their hands to be able to have a suspicion. But how much of these millions of containers and e-commerce products can we take in our hands? It's very limited. It's not even 1% in the EU. And we also have to bear in mind that we have the role of facilitators as well. So customs has to facilitate legal trade, while at the same time we have to control as much as possible and make sure that we detect as much infringing goods and illegal products as possible. And it's very difficult to keep the balance. Just to have an impression on the seriousness of e-commerce traffic in Europe, here you see the 2024 figures of low-value items imported into the EU. And you can see that year by year, the figures are doubling. As far as Hungary is concerned, in 2023, we had 7 million e-commerce packages coming to Hungary, and we performed 10,000 controls on these packages. Whereas in 2025, in the first 5 months, not even half a year, we had already 17 million pieces of e-commerce packages, and we performed more than double of the yearly controls as we did in 2023. So you can see that this type of control is really resource intensive. We have to allocate a lot of resources to control these packages. But how can we do that, and how can we help the customs officers to perform these controls? Of course, by risk management. You may know that all the customs declarations are submitted electronically in the EU. We have customs declaration systems, IT systems, which process this data. And if we don't use risk management and risk profiles, there is nothing to stop the procedure of accepting a customs declaration. So if there is no risk profile stating that there might be something illegal going on, then the whole customs process of the customs declaration is just running through the system within minutes. So that's why we have this risk management system built into our customs declaration system. And based on parameters set, it can decide whether a customs declaration is risky or not risky. And only if we find something risky is when we stop the goods for control, for human control. So what do we use for risk management? Of course, we use the process of risk analysis. We use all the information we have at hand. We had common or specific risk indicators at hand. And of course, we set our priorities, what is more important to be focused on. And that's how we create risk profiles. These risk profiles can be put into the system in a general sense or can be more specific. And the more intelligence we have, the more specific these risk profiles can be. The risk profiles can have a lifespan of long-term, even years, or can be temporary for one day to find one consignment, for example, or they can live for a week or a month, for example, for joint operations. And we have the possibility to set risk profiles at the national level, so that are valid for the whole country, for all the customs offices, and we can also set them locally that are valid only for one or two customs office. I'd like to mention the risk management cycle, where you can see that the risk management is based on information. The more information we have, the better our risk management can be. Of course, we have to analyze all the data that we have at hand, and that's where we can get to profiling. When the profile hits, we perform the controls, and we use the results of the control to monitor what's going on. And if there is need or there is new information appearing, then we use that again to create new risk profiles or to amend the existing ones. So, as I mentioned, the crucial point is information. Where do we get information from? First of all, this information can come from within customs, from other customs systems, from other services of the customs administration. It can come from other EU member states customs administration, and we have databases and IT systems available that enhance this kind of communication of risk information. This system is called the Common Risk Management System, which is CRMS2, and the form where we can send this information is called the Risk Information Form, RIF. OLAF, it's another body, also spreads sometimes information via their AFIS system. And sometimes we even receive information from customs outside the EU. Recently, we had information from Korea customs, where we, based on an airway bill number, we could detect a huge amount of children's toys, fake ones. Of course, such information can come from the right holders as well, or either in the trainings, or normally this information should be or could be in the application for action. Unfortunately, this is not always the case that right holders share such kind of information in the application for action, which is rather pity. And there is also a possibility to send alerts to customs by right holders, and IPAP, the EU IPO's database or platform has a dedicated alert sending possibility. We can also receive such information from other services, from the citizens or from the media that we are using for risk profiling. What can be indicators that something is risky? Of course, as also mentioned yesterday, a huge amount of counterfeit products is coming from China or certain other countries. So, of course, we can set the provenance as a risk indicator. The place of production can be a risk indicator. The transport route or the transport means. Where we find a consignment where the brands are mixed, it's also an indicator for us that something might be not really legal here. The way the goods are packaged or labeled is also an indication. Typos on the packaging, markings, and there can be some unusual products with which are not relevant to the certain brand, and of course the quality of the product. And there are many, many more aspects we can use as risk indicators. But I don't need to emphasize maybe that the best information is not general but specific. So the more intelligence, the more specific information we have, the better and more efficient risk analysis and risk management we can have. Now I continue with some examples from my colleagues. So here you see some Adidas t-shirts. And if you know the brands, you know that they don't overuse their logos. So if there are more logos on one product, that's already a sign that something might not be okay here. Yeah, you see here. And if you have a closer look at the label in the neck of the t-shirt, what you find is Boss. So that's a complete no-go to have two brands on the same product. So that's an indicator. And it's important that the first layer of control is the risk analysis to be able to physically control the goods. So the physical control where the customs officer has the product in the hands is the second layer of control. And these indicators are important for the customs officers, for the human control. The next example, sunglasses. So in the left side picture, you can see that on the hang tag, you see Emporio Armani, and on the glasses themselves, you see Giorgio Armani. So they are not in line with each other. And there is the Cartier sunglass. And if you check the letters here, the type of letters might remind you of something, another brand, which is not Cartier, but Carrera. I mentioned that sometimes we are faced with unusual products. So why would a cigarette lighter have the logo of Superman? That raised the attention of our customs officers, and they had a closer look at the products. And what they found was already the packaging was quite low quality. It emphasized that the product is environmentally friendly. And on the back side, you can already see that the CE marking, sorry, I'm not there yet. Here. The CE marking is quite strange. It doesn't follow the rules how it should be put. And if you read the text, you might find several typos and mistakes in the English text. Yeah, chainsaws. Um, you might recall the picture I showed you yesterday about destruction of chainsaws. It was this chainsaw, 100 pieces of them. And you can see that there is no logo on the product, but you might be reminded that the color combination is also protected. So you don't need to have the logo or the brand name on the product. And also there are some other marks that can be interesting, like engine power should be, it's not, it shouldn't be a G, it should be an E, and idle speed. So the word used is non-existing. Again, the CE marking is not the uh, legally required one. And here you can see that the place where the sticker should be is rounded, but the sticker is a plain paper sticker with square edges. And again, a CE logo, which is completely unnecessary. So all these signs show the customs officer that there must be something wrong here. Another example, earpods. They are coming in bulks. You check the packaging. Again, there is no brand name or logo, but already the format tells you that it might belong to one of the brands. The bottom of the package is again quite strange. Again, the CE marking is not the legally approved one. The inside packaging is of quite low quality. The product itself is quite low quality. So these are, again, signs the goods might be counterfeit. Another indicator might be, apart from the packaging, the origin of the goods. These are the UNO cards. You might as well remember them from yesterday from the destruction. These have been shredded. So the UNO cards are produced in India. It is also indicated on the packaging that they are produced in India. But on the customs declaration, it was declared that the origin of the goods is China. And the packages were coming from China. And as well, if you have a closer look, you see that the fonts used, the type of letters used are different here, here, and here. And the writing is not aligned perfectly, and there are also some typos in the text. So all these factors tell the customs officers to have a closer look and ask the right holder. And the next one. For the first look, it seems to be quite okay. But if you have a second guess, then you think, okay, sorry. Why would someone put these texts not in a line or not centered? Why this ribbon here? It just doesn't fit in style with all these 3D illusion lamp products. And if you check the bottom of the box, it's again the CE marking, which is, it should indicate that the product is safe, but this is not the marking they should use. And if you open the package, suddenly you are faced with Iron Man. So, yes, this is the Iron Man figure of Marvel. Yeah, using the superpower to stop the cars in the streets in Jakarta. And sometimes we are faced with very good quality counterfeit products, but there is always a sign that you can follow and their customs officers always have the instinct that something is wrong. I don't know whether you recognize this shoe, which brand it is. It doesn't say, because it doesn't have the 3 stripes. It's a sneaker from Adidas. But the original products here have a P, and this one has an R. That's the only sign it tells us that it's a counterfeit product. So that was all. I wanted to introduce you about how we are handling risk management and which features we are taking into consideration. Thank you so much for your attention.